Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
All right, well, hello, everyone. I am Katie Petrick, and I am joined by that man over there, David Fiorazzo. And
Yes.
He's keeping busy, as always. He had Worldview Matters to talk about earlier today.
Yes.
What were you talking about
What day
earlier
is this?
today? It's a
It's
great
Wednesday.
day.
All right. It's
a great day.
So Jim Fletcher, he's a historian. He's an expert. I would consider him an expert on Israel. And he's got a book about the miracle of Israel and world history. But we talked a lot about how a Christian should be looking at this whole conflict and the war in Israel with Hamas and some of their history that we really aren't familiar with. So that's Jim Fletcher today. Worldviewmatters.tv. If you would kindly subscribe just to get an email in your inbox once a week, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, just a quick reminder that if you enjoy watching videos that are not censored, please follow our Rumble channel, where you can get educated and Worldview Matters as well. Simply go to rumble.com/FreedomProject and give it a little follow as well. Just a couple things we're asking you to do today. Well, we are talking about a pro-Hamas Stanford lecturer, or ex-lecturer, I should say. Yes, he did some things following the attack that Hamas did on Israel. What did this Stanford lecturer do, David?
Boy.
Let's talk about it.
Well, we're not surprised. It's the university system. We're also not surprised it's Stanford. But Amir Hassan Loggins at Stanford, he was removed from a civil, liberal, and global education class for rounding up Jewish kids, Jewish students in his class, in response to the terrorist attacks a few weeks ago in southern Israel. Now, the instructor asked Jewish and Israeli students to identify themselves, and then he told the Jewish students to take their belongings, stand in a corner, and said, "This is what Israel does to the Palestinians." So,
wow.
again, that's a little abuse of history there.
A little?
And a little indoctrination at the college level, I would say.
Just a little. So we actually reported on this and how this instructor, this isn't like a one-off for him.
No.
This is what he does. This is how he acts.
Yep.
Amir Hassan Loggins, again, is his name. It was the Civic Liberal and Global Education. It says he's a lecturer for the university, and he's done this type of stuff before. But the simple fact that immediately following this gruesome attack by Hamas on the Jewish state, and then for him to be like, "Hey, anyone in class, you're Jewish? Stand on up there and go stand in a corner."
Well, he was justifying the evil, the hatred, from the more and more we read about and find out about what actually happened in those attacks, it is horrific. It is pure evil. And he's justifying it. And he's saying, because the Jews were treating Palestinians like this. No, these are lies. This is the propaganda that the university system, most in higher education, not all, and maybe not even most, but way too many professors and the universities are teaching, like, this is the worldview you need to have. You need to be pro-Palestinian. And we're just really trying to just remind people, hey, this is not new. These people have been entrenched in these universities for decades.
Exactly. And so someone named Sean McGuire is the one who kind of put this out there on the Twitter sphere, the X, if you will. And he said, here's what actually happened in the class. He got confirmation from other students who were there. Okay, so first, Loggins requested all the Jewish and Israeli students to raise their hands, identify themselves. He instructed them to stand up, take their belongings, sit in the corner in the back of the classroom to isolate. Mm-hmm. And then he proceeded to publicly shame these Stanford students, claiming that this setup is the same form of oppression that Israel subjects Palestinians to. And Amir called these students colonizers and stated that Hamas is not a terrorist organization, but a group of legitimate freedom fighters. And finally, then, he stated that Hamas represents the Palestinian people, and what Hamas is doing is 100% legitimate. Hamas hasn't been democratically elected in Gaza since 2006. Many Palestinians in Gaza do not support Hamas and do not believe in their ability to govern. David, how much of that was fact-checked true?
It depends on who the fact checkers are and who they work for.
This is true. Now, according to other reports, the instructor there, Loggins, also reportedly had asked those students how many people died in the Holocaust. And people responded, 6 million, right? About. And then Loggins said, colonizers killed more than 6 million. Israel is a colonizer.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. We don't have a lot of time, but I just want to say this. If they're colonizing, they're doing a pretty horrible job of colonizing. Have you seen the land that they are limited to right now, the size of New Jersey? And have you seen a map with all the massive land and nations surrounding Israel, the tiny little speck over there? And they're surrounded by a coalition of Muslim nations, most of them sworn to the destruction of Israel. So if they are colonizers, they are awful at colonizing. So no, this is an exaggeration. It's a talking point, and we better. It's really tedious to me to hear this and to actually think that some people believe what this nut job is spewing over at Stanford.
One of those nut jobs would be the one, and thankfully only, Colin Kaepernick.
That's right.
Who was radicalized.
That's right.
Yes, I said the term radicalized by this Loggins fella. Back in 2017, New York Times ran the report called The Awakening of Colin Kaepernick. If you don't know who Colin Kaepernick is, lucky. He's once quarterback for San Francisco, who then, instead of being like, hey, look at me, I worked hard and I became an NFL quarterback. No, instead, I'm just going to take a knee and whine and complain that the world is against me and it's because I'm black and you guys are a bunch of racists and how dare you.
And he started a movement to disrespect not only the national anthem played at football games, but America itself. He was a catalyst. He didn't start the movement, but he was a pawn. He was a tool they used.
Yes, and he was awoken. The awakening of Colin Kaepernick, in that New York Times article, actually credited Hassan Loggins, the guy we're talking about, the lecturer, with exposing Kaepernick to the radical texts as the quarterback had become more prominent in the Black Lives Matter movement. So yes, pawn.
Well, can we, just to be fair, Stanford responded to this. It says, we have a report of a class in which a non-faculty instructor is reported to have addressed the Middle East conflict in a manner that called out individual students in class based on their backgrounds and identities. Without prejudging the matter, this report is a cause for serious concern. Academic freedom does not permit the identity-based targeting of students. The instructor in this course is not currently teaching while the university works to ascertain the facts of the situation.
Very
Katie?
nice. Very nice. You got very posh.
They're
at the
working
end
to
there.
ascertain.
They're going to ascertain the facts of the situation.
All right.
That's good.
That's about it. Following a joint letter sent by Harvard groups condemning Israel, a college Arab association asks for donations to support the mental health of students who signed the letter. We'll discuss how they're playing the victim card when we return.
Yeah. We saw this standard woke storyline playing out. I saw it last week when it was first happening. I'm like, oh, I know where this is going. So last week we reported on how October 7th, when the attack, the day Hamas massacred hundreds of Israeli civilians, got to thousands.
Brutally. Yes. Over 1,400.
Yep. That day, Harvard folk, the Harvard Undergraduate Palestine Solidarity Committee, decided to issue a letter that was co-signed by 33 other Harvard student organizations. And did it show a lot of support? Well, not for anyone in Israel. It says, we, the undersigned student organizations, hold the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all unfolding violence.
Wow.
And so we reported on this. And then there was immediate blowback because... And there were calls for the students who led these organizations to resign, to get blacklisted from future employment. There was a CEO, a former Harvard alum, I should say, who was like, hey, who are the names of the people who actually wrote this? Because we don't want them in any of our companies. Like anyone who's anybody should be like, blacklist them, because these people are woke in an unnecessary way. And so, obviously, what's the next course of action, David, in the woke playbook? So you see something happen, you claim it to be the opposite, and you cry foul, and then someone calls you on it, and of course then you cry foul some more. So what happened? They cried, and now they're begging for money. Because it's what happens every time. They're crying and begging for money. The people who receive the blowback. So these are the people who did the wronging in the first place.
Yep.
Now we're crying for money for mental health.
Can you believe this? Really,
I can't, but here it is. We have Harvard's Arab Alumni Association putting out a plea for donations, claiming the relentless bullying and intimidation that they were subjected to caused damage to their mental health. Oh, I'm just going to read the whole thing because it's too funny not to, in a way. It's sad. But if I don't laugh, I'm going to be like angry about it. So our Harvard Arab students at Harvard University need the alumni support. They have been subjected to relentless bullying and intimidation.
Oh my goodness.
This situation is rapidly deteriorating as some students find their names placed on watch lists, creating creating severe risks for their immigration status and future career prospects. Our ask and plea to you all is to extend your hand to these students, like an olive branch, David? No. Okay.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And provide the vital assistance they need within your capacity and scope of influence. They may require legal counsel, health care, mental health support, financial aid, or mentorship to navigate these turbulent and uncertain times that have significantly impacted our Arab student community at Harvard University. You can't get through that without laughing. Like, these people. Like, if they could even watch the media that they love so much, and the media would actually show some images that have actually come out of what's happening over in Israel, and anyone with any sort of empathy in their bones would be able to see, like, wow, what is happening over there is absolutely gruesome and horrific. And what I'm doing over here is being a big bleep bleep. And maybe I should quit my complaining about how bad it is over here in America and look at actually the atrocities that happen every day across the world. But that would require empathy.
Yeah. These kids, or even the Harvard's Arab Alumni Association, they are so out of touch. And if they are able to disconnect from the pure evil, the radicalization of Hamas and these other terrorist groups, first of all, let me just say one thing. If you are watching the network news, stop. If you're watching CNN, stop. If you're not on social media such as Twitter or other outlets where you can actually see and hear the news and the stories of what's happening over there, please go check this out. And don't look away. I know it's hard, friends, but don't look away. There is a point where you can say, okay, that's enough. I've seen it, I believe. So then you'll hear stories like this and you go, at Harvard? What a bunch of self-entitled idiots. But anyway, I've been seeing some of these stories and watching them, and I purposely, if there's a video, they say graphic, I'll say, all right, I need to see this. You might not feel that way, but I've seen things that I've never seen before. And we've seen all the men lined up, the Christian martyrs on the beach with the orange jumpsuits, beheaded and things like that. But we've seen worse now in the last couple of weeks. And I just encourage you to look at some of those, as gut-wrenching and heartbreaking as they are, and then try to understand how could these people possibly justify this against fellow humans. And I mean that. We're all fellow human beings here. So they will not stop. They will not stop. The whole idea behind Islam, their definition of peace is, once the world is under Islamic control, then we can have what they consider a peaceful time in the world. But that's not world peace. That's submission. That's control on their part. So anyway, I've said enough. Thank you I'm off my soapbox now.
Okay. Well, it's necessary. So
yeah.
Good job. Now we're going to move on because we don't have time to be on this topic again, but I'm sure there will be more, unfortunately. Now, many companies are scrapping their college degree requirements as sky-high tuition costs keep four-year degrees out of reach for many young and promising men and women. We are going to talk about it next.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. Educated. Support this show and a great American company.
So there is some sense that may be coming back, or we've lost all sense and we've given up all hope. Whichever one. Either way, there are some companies who are now eliminating college degree requirements for their corporate level jobs, and tuition costs at the universities are part of the reason for that. So let's take a look at what's actually happening.
Growing up in the Bronx, Ashley Torres had never even heard of an apprenticeship.
A 16-year-old working at a corporate bank. I took a leap of faith, basically, yeah.
That leap landed her in Manhattan, making $25 an hour and learning on the job as an apprentice at JP Morgan Chase.
I don't think they should underestimate someone just because they don't have a college degree.
Tight labor markets and the skyrocketing cost of college are causing companies to take a second look at education requirements for many higher-paying jobs, focusing on skills instead. Ali Morano, head of JP Morgan's apprentice program, says firms need to rethink decades of diploma-driven recruiting.
When you start looking in different areas because of a socioeconomic background or because of how somebody grew up, you get people who are thinking differently, and that's what you need in a firm.
A recent study showed the number of job postings requiring a college degree began dropping even before the pandemic, a trend that could unlock more than 1 million jobs to workers without a college degree over the next 5 years. At Delta Airlines, around 85% of corporate jobs, including pilots, will no longer require a college degree.
For us, it's really about what you learn and what you know, not where you learned it.
And for Torres, that real-world training helped her get a leg up on the competition and a full-time job.
I'm not in a class learning the work. I'm actually doing the work.
All right. Well, you saw at least the logos of some of those companies. We're talking about the Google, Walmart, IBM, Bank of America, Accenture. They've announced plans to slash the number of jobs that will require these college degrees. And at Walmart, hundreds of corporate roles no longer require that college degree. The company said last month that they want to remove unnecessary barriers to career advancement. Now, Walmart also said it will waive the college degree requirement if a candidate can demonstrate they developed the necessary skills through previous experience or another kind of learning. I'm sure everyone's going to boycott Walmart now for saying that. How dare they? How dare they? This piece of paper means I'm a genius. And to get that piece of paper, all it cost you was, $100,000 and your soul. But hey, it means something.
You know what I'm surprised about? That there's no mention of DEI in this article, because most of these companies probably do have DEI positions, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that goes in, that plays a big part in their hiring practices, doesn't it? But they don't kind of connect the two here. I'm kind of going, okay, dropping the college degree. What is then the DEI? So they've got to hire certain people based on not their experience, not their merit, but
we'll see. We'll see what it really. The thing in that little news package part when they talked about how Delta is not making have degrees, and I'm like, well, they better have some flight experience because
if he's a pilot,
he's a pilot. This is the concern. We don't know where this is going. Okay, so if we get rid of college degrees altogether, seemingly, what kind of quality people are we going to turn out? We need doctors who know what they're doing. So if they all of a sudden don't need degrees for certain things, are we going to is it going to plummet even more? But then again, if we're getting rid of those degrees, now people will actually be able to go and learn the skills. So maybe then it'll increase. We don't know. but we want to know your thoughts. So let us know what you're thinking on
Well,
this
the
one.
airlines would be different than, for example, Google.
Oh, absolutely
Google,
different. Yeah.
Job postings included a degree requirement in 2017, 93% of those postings. But let's see, 2021, that number dropped to 77%.
So they did learn to code.
It dropped, yeah.
Maybe without going to
the
whole learn to code thing. If you know, you know. All right. Anyway, well, Apple also saw an 18% drop in their job postings, including that degree requirement. So you're saying to work for these tech companies, maybe just pushing some buttons here. You don't need to go to college necessarily, and they're recognizing that. Now, I guess overall, 46% of the middle skill occupations and 31% of the high skill occupations saw the college degree requirement drop. So what high skill occupations are we talking? How high skill? Again, that's my argument, is like doctors and people whose lives are in your hands.
Yes, don't drop your degree.
Let's not drop that.
Medical
Let's make sure we're keeping everyone safe. Like truly safe. All right. Anyway, we're going to move on because the largest media streamer, let's talk about that technology again. The largest media streamer in the world says that it's ready to expand into the real world. We're going to tell you what Netflix has in store for its new stores when we return.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the Freedom Project Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
Okay, when Katie teased this, I was thinking, Blockbuster? Buildings. But Netflix is planning on opening retail locations with themed restaurants and live entertainment.
Now, we've reported that Netflix has been experimenting with some pop-ups tied to its content, whether we're talking about Stranger Things or Squid Games. Now we know what they're up to here. Those pop-ups were testing the waters for potentially permanent retail locations dubbed Netflix House that, according to Bloomberg, are expected to open up probably here and in other cities in 2025. Beyond that, we don't know too much about the plans, except that they'll almost certainly be tied in some way to Netflix content. They'll feature food, merch, and some sort of experiential component, like, say, the Squid Games thing. And that's a fairly impressive thing, considering that Netflix is pretty much the only streamer that makes money at the moment.
Money, money, money.
The only streamer. Money. So the company's intention appears more ambitious than simply creating its equivalent to the Disney Store, but not so ambitious as to create its own version of Disneyland.
Yet.
So these complexes will, as he was reporting on that, combine retail, dining, and ticketed live entertainment. Netflix, I didn't realize they were that gargantuan, Katie.
Well, I mean, Hollywood is... so
Can you explain what that means?
If you don't know what means,
okay,
I can't
Hollywood,
help you. Hollywood is, gone down the toilet, and people are not tuning in or caring what's going on with them. And then you have like cable TV, and people are cutting the cord, as they say, but everyone is all about the Netflix because, hey, it's only, $10 a month. So everyone's starting to love Netflix, and Netflix is putting out some original material with like average people or people who claim to be average people, not these Hollywood stars. So now Netflix is like, the people have bought into what is happening over at Netflix, and Netflix is like, hey, we can open up physical locations. And this live entertainment makes me wonder if it's like the Netflix stars, kind of like the reality show stars who are average people until they got a show on Netflix, and now they are famous. And so people will buy into this. They will buy the merch for all these special shows like Stranger Things. I mean, that when Stranger Things took off, it wasn't on ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS. Are those all the major networks? No, it was on Netflix. And when that took off, Netflix was like, oh yeah, we're going to get money now. Like they saw it as such an opportunity so that they can just make all the merch for all these shows and just Money, money, money.
You might be embarrassed. I'm not a subscriber.
I'm not a subscriber.
Are you on
Not
Netflix?
anymore.
It's something you stream online.
Yes.
And I guess there's 220 million subscribers. And
are you Encino Man right now,
growing.
where you just came into 2023 and learned what Netflix was?
No, it's just,
okay.
I don't.
Like, oh,
They're worth 125 billion.
yeah, that's
with
all.
a B,
Just 125 bill. That's all.
Wow.
That's why they're just going to make more and more and more and more because of now they're opening their own stores. What do you think? Basically, once I guess Hulu is Disney, so you can't say like Hulu competes against the Netflix store because
Disney
Hulu is
and
Disney,
NBC Universal, they're operating the theme park. So Netflix is trying to follow in their footsteps in a way.
Hey, as long as they don't do Netflix and chill at these locations.
What?
Exactly. All right. Well, if you are a fan of this show, please, if you would, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that stuff for us. That'd be awfully swell of you. And if you're a fan of the video platform Rumble, please follow our new channel at rumble.com/FreedomProject. Now, for David and myself, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.